great to have you with us from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pito, Alan Hahn, and Wally Zerbiak. He guaranteed the win, and finally he was right.
Yeah, but you were sweating like a snowman in April during that game, though.
Don't even act like sweating. I was never worried. I knew that the Wizards were going to come back. We're going to take the lead in the fourth quarter, cut it to 1, whatever they did.
No Bradley Beal.
No Bradley Beal, no closer. And the Knicks had Julius Randle.
Check those fingernails real quick.
They're all gnawed up. You're right. But, no, the Knicks had Julius Randle. He's been on some tear these last couple games.
The best player on either team.
Yeah, he's been the best player on the floor the last 3 games, really, and that makes a big difference when you have that guy. You look at the rest of the box scores by the Knicks, nobody really stood out and played that well. Marcus Morris didn't have a great game, but Randle willed his team to a victory. He really did.
A lot of the things we talked about in the pregame about what the Knicks had been doing better in the last 10 games under Mike Miller, the main thing was turnovers. They weren't turning the ball over in those 10 games.
The Hahn Hex.
Fine, but blame it on me all you want. But I wasn't the guy throwing the ball to the other team. Elfrid Payton had struggled in this game with the 6 turnovers, but the Knicks as a team overall, it was the 2 things we talked about. They're not turning the ball over, they're fouling less. In this game, that's the reason why the Wizards stayed in this game, because they kept turning the ball over, 28 points off the turnovers, and they just fouled so much early in this game, and the Wizards had 24 points off the free throw line. So those are the 2 areas they've been a lot better at, and in this game, it got away from them, and that's a main reason why that this game was close, because the Knicks had better players on the floor. Mitchell Robinson's foul trouble. When he's on the floor, they're just a better team, and you saw that late in the game he gets back in and shuts it down.
Mentioned the Knicks turnovers 21, 3rd highest total in a game this year. They were able to overcome that. And one of the keys, Wally, down the stretch, Wizards scored only 8 points in the final 8 minutes of the game. Well,
they had nobody to go to. It would have been a different story if you had Bradley Beal out there on the floor. But give the Knicks credit. Their defense was good. They dominated the defensive backboards down the stretch and really rebounded. There's Frank's one big 3. That was a big 3. That's his only field goal of the game. But then that guy was big time in the fourth quarter. McRae with the 3 on the other end.
Turnover.
The Wiz down only 1 when they were down 8 to start the fourth quarter.
Highlight film. Who was that guy?
McRae.
I want to get back.
High.
How about, you know what? You want to give credit. You also give credit to Scott.
When the Wizards took the lead. They were up
Scott
1.
Brooks.
That's where Julius Randle just took over.
How about this play?
Yeah, that's a thing of beauty, isn't it? That's
Scott Brooks in the zone defense twice
Randle
in the same
puts him up 3 at that point, and then McRae drive. The Wiz down 3. And this was a big shot, right? I thought when Randle hit that bucket, 5 was kind of like a good spot, but then R.J. Barrett looking good with the 3s. That bumped the lead back up to 6, and then the Knicks down the stretch just relied on their defense to take care of business.
Yeah, and like I said, just pointing out another thing is Scott Brooks twice in the same week employing that zone defense, and the Knicks really struggled against the zone. They've got to figure that out because it
takes Payton out of his game, because Payton is not like a guy who wants to attack a zone and make 3s and shoot against it. He's a guy that wants to facilitate and try to,
drive and kick.
Yeah, and he had a lot of turnovers against the zone. Some of those passes, he was just making passes against the zone that just weren't there.
Right.
That's a good defense to implement against certain Knick lineups when they don't have their shooters out on the floor.
The bench didn't struggle against the zone, but when he was in the game, he definitely struggled. And look, they're not a good 3-point shooting team, and they're a big points in the paint team. So it makes sense to employ that, and you have a bunch
of protected Isaiah Thomas.
Of course,
he's not a great defender.
Yeah, he's not a great defender, but you have a team like this with a bunch of guys who are just trying to make it in the league, to make a name for themselves in the league. And so you got to do something that'll take a little bit, like you said, the pressure off them. So for Scott Brooks, it worked for part of the time, but you still have to have shot makers out there. And to the Knicks' fortune, they had one in Julius Randle.
Yeah, Randle for the 3rd straight game, at least 30 points, 30 exactly tonight, and a season-high 16 rebounds.